Earthworm population density is the single most reliable indicator of soil biological health, and most gardeners have never been given a practical method to deliberately and rapidly increase that population from what they currently have to what their soil is actually capable of supporting. Welcome to Gardening Guru. If you want premium gardening content that goes significantly further than what I cover on the free channel, the membership club is right here on YouTube. Detailed guides, advanced techniques, and the practical knowledge that serious growers develop over years, delivered consistently. Subscribe and join through the link in the description. Now, rice. Specifically buried cooked rice and what happens to earthworm populations when it's applied correctly. The mechanism behind the rice trick is microbial rather than directly nutritional for the worms. Earthworms don't eat rice, they eat the microbial community that colonizes and decomposes organic matter, and cooked rice placed in soil at the correct depth creates the most rapidly colonized microbial food source that most home gardeners can produce from commonly available materials. The starch in cooked rice provides a high-density, readily metabolizable carbon source that drives explosive microbial growth within 24 to 48 hours of soil burial, producing the microbial bloom that earthworms exhibit strongly positive chemotaxis toward, meaning they actively move toward the chemical signals that high-density microbial activity produces and concentrate in the soil zone around the rice burial site. So the doubling mentioned in the title, it actually refers to the concentration of the worm population in the treatment zone rather than, the creation of new worms out of thin air, which honestly is just not biologically possible within the time frame that's been suggested. What really happens is the redistribution of the existing worm population from the entire soil area into this high-activity zone right around where the rice is buried. This leads to worm densities in the treatment area that can be, several times higher than the average density you'd find throughout the rest of the bed. Over multiple repeat applications, this concentration effect, combined with improved reproduction rates, thanks to better food availability, actually does produce genuine population growth, though it takes weeks and months, not just a few days. It's a gradual process, but that's how you get sustainable results. The specific preparation and burial protocol. That's what really determines whether this technique results in the dramatic worm concentration that some folks report, or just the modest and inconsistent results you get with incorrect application. Cooked plain white or brown rice, prepared without any salt, oil, butter, or, any seasoning at all, is the right material to use. Salt at any concentration inhibits the soil microbial community that this technique relies on, and it can actually create localized soil salinity issues, which is the opposite of what we're after if we're aiming for biological activation. Oil creates hydrophobic surface coatings on soil particles that interfere with water movement and microbial activity. The rice must be unseasoned cooked grain. Nothing from a restaurant takeaway container, nothing from a cooking pot that had anything but water and rice in it. The preparation improvement that makes the most consistent difference in results is inoculation before burial. Mixing the cooked rice with a small amount of finished compost or worm castings before burial introduces the specific microbial community that earthworms are attracted to, rather than waiting for the naturally present soil bacteria to colonize the rice from the surrounding soil. The inoculated rice produces worm-attracting microbial signals within 12 to 24 hours of burial because the introduced community begins active metabolism immediately rather than requiring the colonization delay of uninoculated rice. Use approximately 1 tablespoon of finished compost or castings mixed thoroughly with 1 cup of cooked rice per application site. Burial depth of 2 to 3 inches places the rice in the zone of maximum earthworm activity in most garden soils through most of the growing season, deep enough to maintain the moisture and temperature stability that microbial activity requires, shallow enough to be within the depth range where worm foraging activity is concentrated. So, shallower burial exposes the material to surface temperature fluctuations that will disrupt the microbial bloom and can actually dry out the rice before the worms even get to it. On the other hand, deeper burial reduces oxygen availability and can lead to anaerobic fermentation, which creates those sour-smelling conditions that earthworms really tend to avoid. Placing the material about 6 to 8 inches from active plant root zones helps prevent the oxygen competition from the microbial bloom from creating anaerobic conditions right near the roots, while still keeping the worm attractor close enough to give your plants the direct benefit of increased worm activity. Now, the warning signs that the application has gone wrong, they usually show up pretty quickly, and honestly, you'll want to act fast to stop the technique from actually causing harm instead of helping. The most important negative indicator is a sour or ammonia-like smell in the soil around the burial site, and this can show up within 3 to 5 days after you apply the rice. That smell means you've got anaerobic decomposition happening, rather than the aerobic microbial bloom you're aiming for, and unfortunately, that's the condition earthworms will actively move away from rather than toward. So the fix here is to stop adding more rice and instead add some dry carbon material, like shredded cardboard, dry leaves or wood chips, right on the surface above the burial site to help restore the soil's oxygen balance. And it's important not to add any more rice while that sour smell is still around. Usually the main reason for anaerobic failure is just too much rice in too small an area. So, 50 grams per square meter, which is, about one small handful spread across a square meter of bed, that's really the rate where the oxygen demand from the resulting microbial bloom stays within what a well-aerated garden soil can handle. If you go much above this rate, you'll end up creating oxygen demand spikes that the soil just can't supply, and that actually shifts the decomposition biology away from the aerobic community which attracts worms to the anaerobic community that, repels them. The repeat application schedule of every 10 to 14 days in rotating locations through the bed is the management rhythm that produces the progressive whole-bed biological activation that the technique is capable of over a full growing season. Each burial site activates a local zone, attracts worms from surrounding areas, and improves the biological quality of that zone through the worm activity it concentrates there. Moving to a new location, each cycle distributes this activation through the full bed rather than repeatedly treating the same zone. By the end of a growing season with consistent rotational application, the biological improvement is distributed throughout the root zone rather than concentrated in isolated patches. The surface mulch layer that maintains the moisture and temperature stability the activated soil requires is as important as the buried rice itself. A 2 to 4 inch surface layer of straw leaves or wood chips maintains the upper soil zone in the cool, moist conditions that earthworms require for surface activity through hot, dry weather when bare soil would force them to deeper, less productive zones. Without the mulch maintaining those conditions, each activation event produces a temporary concentration followed by dispersal when the surface zone dries out between applications. The underlying principle that earthworm population and activity can be managed and increased through deliberate biological substrate management rather than simply being accepted as a static property of the existing soil is one of the most practically useful soil management insights available to home food growers. The rice is the most immediately accessible implementation of that principle. But the principle extends to buried cardboard, to permanent surface mulch, to compost applications at the drip line, rather than the broadcast to every management decision that either improves or degrades the food environment that the existing worm population is navigating. The rice trick is an entry point into a more comprehensive biological soil management approach that rewards the grower who follows the thread. Subscribe to Gardening Guru and join the membership for the complete soil biology content that builds on everything this video introduces. See you in the next one.